What's up, guys, and welcome to an all-new episode of Convos on the Pedicab. I'm here with a very good friend of mine, the one and only Deuce King. Um, Deuce King has been a bouncer on 6th Street for about 14 years, and he's also a professional MMA fighter. He's had over 40 MMA fights professionally. He's fought some big-name guys. And a few fun facts about Deuce. He's actually so well known as a bouncer downtown that some people even dress up as him for Halloween. So that being said, Deuce, tell us a little bit about yourself and see if there's anything I missed, or you see if there's anything you'd like to elaborate on.
Well, I'm 37. I got downtown in 2006. I moved to Austin from Seguin, Texas, where I'm from. It's my hometown. I moved here in '06 to pursue a professional MMA career. I got sponsored by a gym in Cedar Park, which at the time I didn't really even know what Cedar Park was. When I got out there, I realized it's just basically North Austin. So I've been out there ever since, and somewhere in the mix, working at the gym with all the fighters, they told me, hey man, the way we supplement our income, the way we make this work, where we can pay our bills, not depending on our fight purses, and still train 6 hours a day, 6 days a week, is we work downtown. That way we work small shifts, working door, bouncing. We work short shifts, and we can train all day. And all we're doing is basically checking IDs at a door. You don't really have to do anything. As a bouncer, you're in an insurance policy. You're getting paid whether or not they ever use you. So most nights they don't use you. You're standing there checking IDs, and that's all you do. Every now and again, you have to earn your paycheck, and that's not the end of the world either, because it's kind of fun. We're kind of set up to do that as fighters anyway. So even when we have to work, it's just beating somebody up, potentially.
Yeah, and it's not your least favorite activity, Deuce.
No, absolutely not.
So that being said, tell us some of your most interesting stories as a bouncer downtown, if you have any offhand, with what is a typical day in the life as a bouncer?
Okay, two different points. You said interesting stories and then typical day. So, typical day in the life of bouncing. I mean, routinely, it's just like I said, you're an insurance policy. So my normal days, I'm down there. At this point, I know 80% of the people I come in contact with most days. So it's pretty easy because they already kind of know the deal. Whenever I first started bouncing, I had some hard times. I'm not very big. I have a light voice, and I don't like dress too threatening. I'm not a threatening character. So the early on, I really had to earn my stripes because I didn't look like much of a threat. So people were more quick to test you. And at this point, it's not that way, thankfully.
Yeah, I'm not gonna lie. When I first met you, I thought you were a Jose Aldo. I was like, dude, the WC needs to, work on how they pay their fighters, man. Do you remember that?
No.
I like literally when I first met you, I was like, dude, you look exactly like Jose Aldo. Like was he in WC or whatever? The UFC needs to pay their fighters more. Like I was like
Yeah.
literally saying that to
Yeah,
you because
no,
I
no.
thought you look almost identical to him.
Yeah, no, I don't get that often. But no,
When
I
you have
don't
the suit, you
remember
looked
that.
a little bit like
I got you.
Jose Aldo. Yeah.
Yeah. Well, like I said, at first on when I got hired, there's a bunch of like meathead Frankenstein-looking bouncers down there, and I just got slept on a whole lot, and I had to earn it a lot more than a lot of the other guys because people are not as quick to listen to what I have to say as they are when the guys in their face, real assertive. Hey guys, you need to this and that. That's not me. I don't have a deep, heavy voice. I don't come off as threatening. I'm not a giant person, and I try to be polite, and that just it doesn't really go your way too often in the world of bouncing. Now it's a little different because people know me, so they know. Like when I started, I worked on Dirty Sixth Street for I'd say like the first 6 to 7 years I was downtown. And then I moved over to West Sixth, and I saw all these guys that I had never really been to West Sixth, so I saw all these guys that I remember when they were younger and they were on Dirty, like kids, and they got into post grad age and they moved over, migrated to the West Side, and I hadn't seen them since. I didn't know what happened to them, and there they all were. But I had way less problems over there because I'd say a good percentage of the people at the bars over there, when in their infancy on 6th Street when they were younger, I had beat one of them up or beat one of
Their
the
friends up,
members of
yeah,
their
yeah.
friends up. Yeah, so like everyone knew me over there already. So it was kind of cool because you get the revolving door downtown on Dirty. Like it doesn't matter how much you solidify your name and how many people you beat up or what you do. Every year there's a new crop of kids coming in, and the old ones flock out. So it's
Yeah,
like revolving.
and it seems like they're
revolving.
less qualified to be bouncers every single year.
Oh, absolutely. I was referring to the patrons.
I was
It's a
talking about,
new
okay,
one.
yeah,
So
yeah.
like you can't solidify. Don't
re-
screw with
a
me. Don't
relationship,
screw
yeah.
around on in my bar because the new ones are gonna come and you have to do
Right.
it all over again.
But it's
But
so-
the same can definitely be
Yeah.
said for the
The
quality
bouncers.
of bouncer.
but it's also a different ball game too. You have more and more people that are moving to Austin every day, and it's more like yuppie transplants. And those guys are generally speaking less likely to start fights with a bouncer downtown, especially seeing your ears, Deuce. We're in 2020 now. Anybody looks at your ears, they know don't fuck around.
Yeah.
Back in 2007,
yeah, it was
that
different.
it was a different ballgame. You were a small guy. People were more willing to test you, so you had to actually get into fights and show people what was going on in that time frame. Now people see your ears and they're like, yeah, I'm gonna not mess with this guy.
Yeah, so that being said, I agree with the yuppie thing being less threatening people in general. The problem with that is though, like the demographic of the area on 6th Street that I work on Dirty, you get the I mean honestly, if we're being honest, 18 with fake IDs to 24 is like the main demographic of people age-wise that are down there, and that group of people age-wise, it doesn't really matter what, like if they're yuppies or what background they come from, they're kids. And anytime you add youth and inebriation, you get stupidity to the infinite degree. So
You're preaching to the choir, man. I've been a pedicab driver for 7 years now, right? Like,
yeah,
so, dude, I understand. Like,
Yeah.
I'm almost a veteran to pedicabbing, but I mean,
For
not
sure.
nowhere near your level, right?
yeah.
But
I get what
I
you're
mean,
saying.
like,
in the pedicab world, there's not too many that predate you in Austin.
not too many. Well, and there's also not too many people who are as well known
Yeah.
as pedicab. Like, I'm probably like you're the most well known bouncer in Austin, and I'm very arguably the most well known pedicabber in Austin.
I got what you're saying.
So there are a lot of parallels to that. And also like you have a pretty hood. Like I like the people that go in your bar, and most of them are pretty cool. But you do get a pretty hood crowd that go into Lit Lounge too. So it is a little bit. It's a little different.
I can agree with that. I think that nowadays, again, what happened like early on in Austin, working down here, and when I got down here in 2006, I'd say till about 2012, the demographic of people in the bars that I worked at was totally different. In general, 6th Street was totally different. So Dirty 6th Street was predominantly college kids and tourists, and 6th Street was it was mixed evenly. So there was no Domain, there was no Rainy. Those didn't exist. So you had rich people on 6th Street, you had poor people on 6th Street, you had the hood, you had all these places, and there was all the places with any power or any momentum as far as clubs had strict dress codes, and they held themselves to a certain degree, which that demographic has been chased off of 6th Street now because of options, with the creation of the Domain and Rainy and the expansion of West since 2006. There's so many options now. There's even like a South scene now, South Shore or whatever it's called.
Yeah.
So like there's an East Side now. There was no East Side.
No.
In 2006, there was no East Side bars. There's so many. There was Red River. That's it. So now there's so many options to go and to have nightlife that anybody with money would rather go to the Domain or the West Side or Rainy and spend a few extra dollars per drink and not be harassed by the hood, not have to worry. Like you get these guys they bring. I remember working in nice clubs, and if the hood came in there, these college kids can't keep the hood off of their girls. There's no way. There's no way they can. Like they're scared. You see a guy holding a girl's hand, and a hood dude walk right up and just not even respect it, just completely pitch at that girl, and the guy lose all of his confidence and not even stand up for himself. So what's that kid gonna do? He's never gonna go back to that bar because it's not in his favor. So the hood is basically pushed the crowd. They'd rather spend a little bit more per drink and go elsewhere. And the hood can't afford to go to
They
and
can't.
spend those amounts at Rainy and at the Domain. So they're
Yes.
the only demographic we
Yeah.
have now. So as to where when I first got downtown, there's no way those people we would cater to that crowd. Now we live in an age of Dirty Sixth Street that if we have a long lease on Dirty Sixth Street, you have to play to the crowd. If I was a a popsicle salesman, I wouldn't move to Antarctica and think I could keep that same hustle. It wouldn't work. You have to play to the crowd. Now that's the only demographic that's down there. Really is a demographic that if you rewind 10 years ago, nobody they couldn't get in anywhere. They had to go to the gunshot and stab wound like into the earth bars to get in anywhere. Now they're that demographic are filling the clubs that are doing the most numbers on 6th Street. I'm not going to mention names, out of respect for the owners and managers of clubs, but you know what it is. If you go downtown nowadays, the clubs that are doing the best financially are the hood bars. So like we're somewhere in the middle. We try not to be super hood, but we have to play to the crowd, especially on the 200 block. You have to be open to whoever.
Well, yeah, and you have to be open too as a pedicab driver. You can't, you have to be an open-minded person, communicating with everybody and whatnot.
Yep.
Speaking of which, here's the real question that we all need to know.
9.5.
I was gonna go with 11, but all right. You still doing 2-piece Tuesday?
No.
Oh.
No, we're not. Well,
oh
one. Yeah.
shit.
No, we put that on ice for a while.
Dude.
We had planned to reestablish 2-piece Tuesday right after South by this year. That was the plan. And of course, as we all know, South by never happened. So
South by never
2-piece
happened.
Tuesday is in the works to
because you could technically become a restaurant. Just open up to
That's
then
true.
you technically will be a restaurant. So you should have.
That's true, but there's other things to consider there. Like to become a restaurant, technically, we would have to actually sell the chicken, and then there's there's laws against selling somebody else's product.
No, I was kind of joking when I said that, but
yeah, for sure.
This whole thing is ridiculous. And here's another
Agreed.
thing. I don't know if a lot of people know this, but Deuce is actually a business owner now. So tell me how that came about. Like, how did you? Because you've had a pretty interesting story. You're a pro fighter. You came to Austin, I'm assuming, with not too much.
Mm-hmm.
And now you're a part owner of Lit Lounge. So how did that journey come about for you? And also, how have these shutdowns been affecting you as a black business owner?
Okay, so
considering all the identity politics the city likes to talk about, like let's
for sure.
Let's hear from the source.
So I would deduct the black part out of there. Not that I'm not of African American descent, because I definitely am. I'm half black, but because I am a small partner in Lit Lounge, I'm not the majority by any means, and the other owner isn't of African American descent, and I wouldn't call Lit Lounge a black owned. That'd be a stretch. So I would take that out of it. But as far as the shutdown, I would say again I'm a tiny part in Lit Lounge. So I am a partner in Lit Lounge, but I'm not the majority. So the shutdown didn't really affect me too much one way or the next. We have the luxury of having a really good relationship with the building owner, the person that we rent from. So we directly rent from the building owner. Most people downtown don't do that. They have a sublet guy, like a Bob Woody entity or someone who comes and buys up the master leases and then subleases them out for a higher dollar amount. We've been directly through the building owner since 2013 when we got started, and we have a really good relationship with him. We've never been late. We've never missed a payment. We don't let the building go to shit. A lot of people who rent buildings, rent properties, they run the venues down and trash them because they don't really care. They don't have a long-term interest in them. So because we have such a good relationship with this guy, he has allowed us to function and continue business without being taxed for the time that we couldn't. Like basically in March, whenever the shutdown happened, he hadn't charged us a penny since. Even when we got going, they opened back up 25%,
And then 50 for a little bit. Yeah,
He
yeah.
told us don't worry about it until you're 100%, and then we can go from there. But as long as we're under him, he has he has an interest in keeping us because we're good tenants. If he gets rid of us, who else is he gonna rent to right now when you can't conduct business? Also, even if he did that, he would be trading out a good long-term investment that's proven for somebody who might run his venue into the ground.
Yeah.
Or
And,
not do square business.
and that's another thing too that a lot of people don't realize, and it's that people kind of do reap what they sow. And look, I think these shutdowns are horrible, and it's horrible what's happening to the small businesses. But if you're a landlord and you have a tenant or a client, like a tenant who doesn't respect the space that they're renting from you, and now you have a reason to get rid of them. I mean, what would you do? Right, so I think this all comes down to how you treat your landlord in some capacity.
It absolutely does. I mean, in some capacity. Ultimately,
Some capacity, because sometimes
Yeah.
it just doesn't matter. You could be a phenomenal tenant, and your landlord's just an opportunistic piece of shit and doesn't care,
Yep.
and that happens. But I think in general, being a considerate human being definitely will get you through times like that, like this.
Absolutely. Or you could be a piece of shit tenant in general, but a safe bet, like a guy with deep pockets that your landlord knows is always going to have the money. So he'll put up with your shit maybe.
Yeah.
And keep you on. It works both ways.
So how have because you're doing okay, and I'm really happy that you're doing okay, because I would really be sad if Lit Lounge were to go out of business as a result of this. And not just for the chicken either. But how have these shutdowns been affecting your friends and your coworkers? Because you've been here for a long time. Like, how have they been affecting?
I have a lot of coworkers from Lit Lounge that are hurting. I wouldn't say a lot because we're a small
bar, yeah.
crew, but a good percentage of the bar staff is hurting. But I mean, of course, you can only hurt for so long before you have to do something. And if the bars weren't there, we would all find another hustle. You can't stop. You can't be so one-dimensional. You have to keep the money coming in some way or another. And most of the guys who were hurting have moved on to other jobs.
Yeah, that's true. But I think both you and I can agree that the city isn't really doing enough to offer direct help to the businesses that they literally stopped from operating, and that's something that really makes you lose faith in your city officials. Is my take on that.
Absolutely, and I think I personally think that the city isn't really at fault. Ultimately, it's this pandemic. No one could have really seen it coming, and the effect that it has couldn't have been planned for or predicted, or there isn't really a good. But what I don't like is that they basically opened up everything else except the bars. They've just kind of forgotten about us. Like, we're not people and we don't matter. It's like, wait a minute, how can you do all this other stuff but you can't have bars? And then they have this loophole where if you change over your license from 51% to less than 50%, and become like a restaurant bar where you
like a food truck or something shit like that. Yeah, then
you show 51% food and 49% alcohol sales, then you can function. And you have all these people just completely loopholing that, selling packages like $5 bags of chips and $1 bit for domestic.
I mean, honestly, I have no problems with that. I really think that the main issue is just people being congested and super close to one another and whatnot. And bars can potentially do that. So I think that hey, if you can literally just set your establishment up like it is a restaurant, then you should just be able to operate it. I think they should reopen the bars and just let them structure their tables and just function like restaurants, and it should be fine for now until you just get this under control a little bit more, which we already are getting under control. Our hospitalizations have dropped by over 70% in Texas, and they've dropped by close to 80% in Austin.
Well, I'll say this, from my personal living, I have since this pandemic, I've been just picking up shifts because our bars are shut down, and we don't want to break the rules, and we don't want to force a play too soon whenever they might open everything up. We'd just rather wait it out.
Yeah.
Of course, we're in a good position with the landlord, so we are able to do that. So because of that, I've been picking up at other bars this entire time. And I probably worked at, like just during this pandemic, since March, I've probably worked at probably like 20 bars, that have opened through the loophole, scenario. Since they've opened the bars back up and they serve food, or they have some sort of loophole. And a lot of them are, you get two types of entities. You get the guys that are functioning, not breaking any rules, going by the book. And I mean, they're the minority by far. And then you get the guys that are loopholing it, and they don't give a damn how many people they pack in. They don't care anything about any of the rules. It's just enough. They're doing enough to like get by. Some of them I fear, like, man, when they get audited, it's gonna be horrible because they're ringing up different things as food when it's not food.
Yeah,
They're
like
selling alcohol and ringing it up as food. Now that's gonna be a huge payday for TABC or Austin whenever they get audited. But
if they get
audited, that's the thing. That I don't know what the city plans on doing. It does seem like it could be a money grab for the city, though. It's just setting them up all for failure, letting them do all this. But it might not be as well.
I think the alcohol to go is a money grab for the state because it's going to increase DWIs.
Yeah, for sure. I'm sure all
people are
of it.
drinking beers in their car and stuff because they got their to-go drink. Like, I'm like, dude, you're just about to get pulled over right now.
So and then you also get the guys that are loopholing it, and they're not gonna get in trouble because again they're selling packages like the $5 tiny bags of chips and a dollar domestic, and ultimately they're selling a $4 beer and a $1 bag of chips.
Yeah.
But they're shifting it over, which is in their legal.
They're in their rights, and to be fair, these are pretty stupid rules anyway.
Absolutely.
Like I don't think that you should be telling a business that they can't operate without providing them with just compensation for that. I think that's a human rights violation. So I mean, at the end of the day, dude, these guys are like literally fighting oppression, as crazy as that sounds. So I mean, I don't have any problems with what they're doing if they're doing that.
Yeah, I don't either. Essentially, like as far as like my moral compass, I don't think it's wrong at all. It's just frustrating to see people fudge over rules that when it comes to business that we don't want to do because
you're not fudging,
be in violation.
Because you're not fudging it, and you see everybody else getting away with it.
Exactly.
I get it.
That's all.
All right, so we got to talk about another topic, and this is something that I've been really excited to talk to you about: homelessness. What's your take on the homeless situation in Austin? Because you've been around for close to 15 years. You know what I mean? Like there are people downtown who come to Lit Lounge that you knew their father.
Yeah, for
sure. That's the point that we're at right now. And you've seen some of these homeless people for a very long time. I want to know what your take on the homeless situation is in Austin, and also like how you feel about the overturning, how you feel about the camping ban and our city overturning it, and how that's affected you as a business owner, and just how it's changed the scene up. I want to hear all of this stuff. I know these are a lot of loaded questions, but I just want to like go off, Deuce. Go off.
Okay, so homelessness in general. Okay, so my take on homelessness, I wouldn't say I love or hate it. It's a love-hate thing. I actually find it comical to some degree. No. I'm not going to say comical. It's stimulating. It's working the door, because I work 6 to 7 nights a week for the entirety of the 14 years. I'm not a weekend warrior. I don't work door on the weekends. I work every night. So, and the 200 block is kind of a docile block right now. It's not like booming with business.
No, because a lot of things are closed.
Yeah, and
but
even beforehand,
you do see that. That's where all the homeless people go. Is they are literally right on the corner of your block. So you see all of this. Like
and you see, even when business was normal, the 400 block is like the hub of where the nightlife is downtown. Yeah. The 200 block is like the outskirts, right before Brazos, and it all falls off.
Yeah.
So our block is one of the end blocks, and it's not that busy even when it is busy, and because of that, you see a lot more activity with the homeless people. The homeless people are gonna be there all the time. Like, they live out there. That's their house. We work in their living room basically.
Yeah.
It's different than. And whenever you go to one of the more populated blocks or populated times of the year, they blend in with all the other people, so they're not as obvious. But when you get a block, and especially during the pandemic, it's it's such slow motion that you see them all. They're all there, and they all depend. Austin is the only like liberal big city in a conservative state. So so they flock to Austin in general. It's legal to panhandle on 6th Street, and in other big cities, inner cities in Texas, it's not legal. You can get arrested for asking for money. In Austin, you can go on 6th Street and ask a police officer for money. They could tell you no or yes, but you're not gonna be in trouble. You're not gonna go to jail for doing it. So like it's always been a big attraction. Also, like there's a lot more liberal people that live in this city than other cities in this conservative state. So they migrate here because there's soup kitchens everywhere. There's foundations set up for them. There's bunk houses everywhere in Austin that not so much in other cities in Texas. So Austin has this giant population of homeless people. Now, whenever you get a pandemic, these homeless people, they thrive off of 6th Street, off of the foot traffic. There's so many drunk people out down here constantly.
Dude, some of them make bank.
Yeah,
like,
no, absolutely.
Like some of these guys make probably as much money as some of your city council members.
Absolutely.
Like,
you get a guy who's normally working 8-hour shifts, 5 days a week. You get these guys on these uppers that these drugs that don't really ever sleep, and they're working 24 hours, 7 days a week. You know, they're always working.
They're always there. Like they're
always, their job is to ask people for money, so it never ends. It's not like they clock out. They're always on the clock. So like, and their money is tax free. So they're working 24 hours a day, and their money is tax free, and they're working 7 days a week. If they're alive and awake, they're working. Basically,
you know what I mean? It's kind of true.
Yeah.
Yeah, and you know, some of these guys aren't even homeless anymore. Like they've got set up with houses, but like they're making bank.
Absolutely. I know some guys that they get apartments from the city, and they still come down there when they can. And
of course, because you get paid. People are generous. Like there's so much traffic, and there's so many drunk people that will just be like, man, fuck it, I'll give you $1.
Yeah.
Or they're just scared, and they'll just give you $1 because they're scared and uncomfortable.
Yeah, or they're just so drunk they don't care. You know,
But you know what though? Like there are some who probably clean up. Like my favorite, I don't know about you, but I have a favorite homeless man.
You know who my favorite homeless person
Yours is Homeless Daryl.
That's right. Everyone knows.
My favorite homeless guy is Joke Man.
Oh, Joke Man?
Yeah.
I do not like Joke Man.
I love Joke Man. What are you talking about? Dude, Joke Man's my fucking dude.
I don't hate Joke Man, but I don't really care for him because his jokes are super lame.
That's what I love about him is that he tells the same joke every single time.
What's really like mildly offensive, I never bring it to his attention because I feel bad for Joke Man, but it's offensive and it will never warrant me tipping him, is that he doesn't remember me. Like some of these bums come up to me like 4 or 5 times a week with the exact same routine. I mean, exactly the same exact pitch, and they have no idea that they've been here before. They've said this, and it's offensive. And so when they do that over and over and over, and I'm like, dude, I've heard this same joke at least 47 times.
And the guy who looks like Steve Buscemi, you know who I'm talking about?
Absolutely.
Dude, that I can't fucking stand that motherfucker.
No, yeah.
Like,
he's one of my least favorites.
Yeah, that guy annoys the shit out of me. I don't think he's like a bad guy, but he's so like pushy. And he feels like so entitled. Like one time he asked me for $1, and I had all I had was 20s. And he's like, "Well, you can't break a 20?" I'm like, "Bro,
be like,
do you not understand where you are right now? Like, but if I had $1, I will give it to you. I just don't have $1 on me right now."
That guy is very pushy, like you said. He doesn't just stop at no.
But Joke Man's cool because at least he'll try to tell you a joke, and he does remember me. I kind of enjoy I kind of really enjoy the fact that Joke Man will tell the same jokes the entire night. That actually is like what makes it funny.
It's comical as long as it's not me. You know,
dude,
like when I see him do it to other people, it's awesome.
You know, I've made some rap songs, right, Deuce?
I don't.
I've made some rap songs. I could play them for you, but when I take people in my cab, I play my rap songs all the time, and I literally play the same songs on repeat over and over again. So I do have an affinity for the fact that this guy tells the same joke all the time because I'm playing my same rap songs all the time for my customers.
Yeah,
so I kind of feel like me and Joke Man, we're kindred spirits in a way, and I like Joke Man. He's nice, and he tries to at least offer a service for the money he gets.
That's true. That is true. I mean, I guess we're completely overlooking what he does with the money.
Who
gives
a
that
shit?
Doesn't matter. Okay,
who cares?
Cool. Okay.
Like, you earned that fucking crack.
All right. Okay. Yep. I didn't know where we were going with that, but now I see.
Yeah, like I don't care. I mean, look, he's out there. He's telling jokes. He's nice to people. He's not aggressive. I like him.
You know, these homeless people a lot of them were here when I got here in 2006, and they're still
They're
here.
still here.
You know,
Yo,
and they're doing the same thing. And it's like I'm with them 7 nights. You know, when I'm out there, they're there. They're never not there because they live there.
you know them on a first name basis.
Oh yeah,
you
for
know,
sure.
You know
I know
these
their
guys on
whole
a
stories, like their backstories. I know what type of humans they are. Beyond their bullshit pitches, you know, I see them all the time. So yeah, I see what they do with their money, commonly in the alleys. You know,
Yeah.
like I see exactly where that money goes. So it's like, I'm not gonna give it to them. You know, like the only ones I give, the servicing that's meritable. I'm like, okay, cool. You're trying to offer something, but I still don't care. Like if it's not a service that directly benefits me. Homeless Darrow brings me food. Now I can get with that, cause
Yeah.
I eat. You know,
Yeah.
like, he'll go do stuff for businesses and they'll give him food. He goes to Eddie V's a lot because he's cool with the cooks there, and they take care of him every day. They give Daryl food there. Now Daryl doesn't eat fish. He's got like a shellfish allergy, so he just brings it to me, and I'll tip him for that. I'll give him money for like a full hot meal, untouched. Absolutely, every day I'll give him some money for like some expensive food. But I don't care if you're offering me something that I don't want or I can't use.
No, I agree with that.
It's meritable.
It's
but
meritable, but I like Joke,
Yeah.
man. If I have $1, I'm
got
like, you
you.
know what, man? I'm gonna put some good vibes into the universe and give you $1 or a
For
few
sure.
dollars
Yeah.
because I like the guy. He's nice.
Build
He's
your karma
cool.
up. Yeah.
It builds your karma up. And for a job like what I do, you need that kind of karma to be good at it. So, hey, man, you got to give it back to get something.
For sure. I mean, and I do.
Yeah.
Just not to joke,
Just not
man.
not to joke,
Yeah,
man. You know,
absolutely
like,
not.
whatever, fine. Sorry, Joke, man. I got you.
Yeah.
I got you, Joke, man.
Yeah.
Joke, man is,
Hey, you'll compensate for
I got you.
for what I won't give him.
No, facts. So what else are we talking? Oh, yeah. There's another homeless guy who I really don't like, who I liked at 1st.
Mm-hmm.
That guy with the walker.
Oh yeah. I don't have a nickname for him yet. You gotta earn nicknames.
You have to earn nicknames.
He hasn't been around long enough. But yeah,
No.
no, the older black guy.
Yeah.
With the walker.
And at
yeah.
first I liked him because I was like, oh, he's at these protests. He's a community. I thought he was one of the protest organizers when I first saw him. So I'm like, hey, dude, let me give you like a free ride. You need a ride, dude? Are you okay? I saw you had a walker. And I didn't know that there was something wrong with him, you know?
Yeah.
I was like, dude, let me give you a ride. I see you at the protests all the time, man. Like, how are you doing? What's going on? Like, I wanted to get his take on what was happening, especially with like how they were devolving into like riots and if he thought we should reopen. Because one of the weird things about these protests is that the same people that were super like pro BLM protests were the same people that were trying to tell us all to stay home and not go out, which is kind of odd because you're doing the opposite now of what you were telling us.
Yeah.
You
yeah,
know,
for sure.
in March and April. So I talked to him for a minute, and he's like, "Yeah, man, we got to stay open." And I'm like, "Agreed. We have to stay open because if we reclose, people are just going to blame y'all, and it'll just create more racism." It's one of my takes on that, you know. But I gave him a free ride, right? And I think I bought him a pizza or something because I just had some extra dough or whatever, right? And then I saw him like a few weeks later, and I was like, "Hey, dude, you okay? Need a ride, man? Let me give you a ride somewhere." And he's like, "Yo, man, you got a couple dollars for food?" And I'm like, "Bro, I just offered you a free ride to help you.
Yeah.
I don't even know that I have anything." And he's like, "Dude, I know you got people in your cab all the time. I know you got money. I ain't no ordinary homeless guy. I got a cell phone and everything." And I'm just like, why the fuck are you asking me for money? And look, I had like $2. I'm like, you know what, man, I'll give you $2. It's good karma. It's good vibes. Like, I feel bad for the guy. But, you know, I'm never helping him again.
Yeah.
You know, when I see him, I drive by him. I don't
Mhm.
say hi to him. I don't see if he needs any help. I'm not going to give him a slice of pizza if he's there. Like, I'm just not – I no longer want to help him after that encounter.
Yeah, for sure. Yeah, I get that way about people all the time down there. I don't initiate with them, but if they've burned a bridge with me, I do look forward. I'm not gonna lie. It may make me seem like an asshole, but I look forward to when they ask me for money, because I get to shut them down. If they don't ask, I don't get to the pleasure of shutting them down. So when they're like, "Excuse me, do you have a couple dollars?" And
A couple dollars? A couple
smiling.
dollars,
Say
bro,
that, you know,
like-
that's a great question. I'm glad you asked. Yes, I do have a couple dollars, a couple hard-earned dollars, you know, dollars that I worked for that no, I'm not going to give you. So, you know, die.
Dude.
Basically, you know, I look forward to them asking, because if they don't ask, you can't shut them down.
So how do you feel about the city overturning the camping ban and allowing all this urban camping? Do you feel like how has that like affected the downtown scene since they did that?
Um, I don't really feel like it
Has,
has.
right?
Yeah. Again, the migration of like the real money demographic happened like 2012, 2013 with the expansion of the city and the buildings of the other areas in Austin, like the Domain and Rainey. So really, it's the guys that can't afford to really go out and
Yeah.
troll chicks at other regions of the city that are down there anyways, and those bums ain't scaring them off. They're gonna
No,
come.
no, of course not. Yeah. My take on this is that
It's made my life a little harder, but
It's
it's
whatever.
just more annoying.
Yeah.
But, whatever.
it is what it is. I mean, my whole take on this homeless stuff is that I think people are making a lot more of a big deal about it than they need to be. And I think you need like compassionate solutions to help people without enabling vagrancy.
Yeah.
And it's something I talk about like as a city council candidate, and it's on my website and whatnot. We're not going to go into that right now, but I do think that when you allow urban camping and you're the only city in Texas that allows that, and there are so many resources for these homeless people, like you mentioned earlier, this invites bums to come here. And when a whole bunch of homeless people start flooding one city, you're going to get a lot more turf wars and a lot more fights amongst other bums, and you're going to see a lot more tension and unsafe conditions amongst the homeless because there are more people to compete for a small number of resources with.
Yep. I can agree with that. Yeah, I wish that it wasn't that way. That the homeless people didn't flock to Austin so much. But again, with it being the only big liberal city in a conservative state, I don't think it's ever going to be any different.
No, and the
It's
weather's
always
really
been
good
that
too.
way.
Like
Yeah.
homeless people always flock to warm weather states. Like that's a fact. Like there's nothing you can do about it. The only thing you can really do is minimize how many people come here and try to like keep the city clean and whatnot, which the city is obviously doing a horrible job of doing.
Yeah, I agree. The 6th Street that when I came on, homeless people were, still a regular thing to Austin. Just they always have been. But when I came here, they were so less than is now. The camping thing, I think, is absolutely ridiculous. I don't think that they should just be able to post up anywhere and build a habitat.
Yeah, no, that's yeah.
It's very hard to conduct business. Like some days I'll go in to open up the bar and there'll be like a whole house built in front of the bar, like right in front. They'll be right out there with like walls and everything. They'll build it out of whatever, and I'm just like, hey guys, you can't be here. And sometimes that goes my way, and sometimes it
doesn't. Yeah.
Well, it always eventually goes my way, but
It's
sometimes
annoying.
It's a lot easier.
It's annoying having to have these discussions on a regular, reoccurring basis, and it's also must be annoying too when you're trying to get people into your bar and there's like a crackhead like begging for money while people are in line. It's going to make people want to leave the line, and you could be losing business as a result of that, and that isn't fair to you. So there's got to be a balance, man.
Absolutely.
There has to be a balance.
Absolutely. I remember when that homeless guy that you're talking about with the walker, he looks like a black Cotton Hill.
Yeah.
Yeah. I remember when he was brand new to 6th Street, he actually bamboozled me. He was dressed really nice in a nice leather jacket and like slacks and dress shoes, and he was in the line, and I let him in. He's like 100 years old. He didn't look homeless. He had an ID, so I let him in the club.
Yeah.
And then he's in there, asking people for money, and later on I had to kick him out. But so I have like a personal vendetta against that guy because he caught me slipping, and that's rare. I've been down there so long.
Yeah,
it's hard
if you're
to
going to go to
pull
the
one
club, you
over
should
on
be
me.
spending money in the club, not asking people for money in the club.
Yep, exactly. So I don't really care for that one too much, but he doesn't ever give me any shit.
No, he's cool. He's not like a mean person, but I just
Yeah.
don't want to like when you do stuff like that, when you do shady shit like that to people, it just makes people not want to help you, and it comes to a point where it's like, look,
Not
and
me, because I already didn't want to help him.
yes,
So,
but now
yeah.
you especially.
Oh yeah. It's not
Now you're going to tell other people not to help him.
That's right.
Usually you'll keep it to yourself, but now
Yeah.
you're putting the word out not to help
Yep.
him, and that's not
That's
good
it.
for him. I mean,
No,
for you it doesn't
yeah.
matter, right?
Mhm.
But look, and it also brings it back to a point too where it's like I hate having to say this and make generalizations because it doesn't apply to everybody, but like you kind of have to be like a special type of piece of shit for nobody to want to be able to take you in or help you. Do you know what I mean? Like if you're in a situation where you've been like down on 6th Street and living on 6th Street for 14 years, like how is it that nobody wants to like help you get on your feet? like no family, no friend, like nobody wants to
Yeah.
help you. Like what you must have like actually done something through your actions repeatedly to get to that point and stay there.
For sure, yeah. And some of them have horrible stories. I used to have this thing where I'd like pick one on nights that I did well. I would pick one and like invite them to eat.
To dinner and say, yeah.
I would always go to IHOP on that one right there on like Cesar Chavez and 35. And I just hear their story. I'd ask them questions, and I wouldn't give them any money, but I'd just take
You buy
them
them
out
food,
to eat.
yeah.
Buy them food,
Yeah.
and I just listen to their story. I was kind of bored, and I was in this town. I don't have a social life because I work every night. And I didn't really know anybody, so I do that for entertainment sometimes. And yeah, some of them have some horrible stories. Some of them, there's a small percentage of them that, you know, they spent a lot of their adulthood in prison and they got released when they're later in life. And and their parents are dead and their families all like dissolved or moved away, and like they have legitimate.
Yeah, and who knows what
stories where
happened
it's
to them in prison? And you just
who
like
knows?
there's stuff like that where it's just
There's
it's
a
just
lot
a
of them-
tragedy, and you just
yeah.
want to help and be kind and
Yeah.
compassionate. But there's also a lot of people where it's like, dude, how many times are you gonna steal valuable possessions from your parents or from your friends? And it's like,
For sure,
how much
for
sympathy can
sure.
you really have for
Yeah.
someone like that?
Yep, and then there's also a lot of mental illness
Mental- yeah.
going on as well. But yeah, there are also, you have to really think about the ones that are of sound mind. There's usually some really fucked up things in there. You know, they've really double crossed some people, did some sketch shit to get where they are and to maintain that level. Nobody wants to help you after you burn so many bridges.
Yeah, like Joke Man. Like, why is Joke Man doing what he's doing?
For
Like
sure,
something
yeah.
is up with that guy.
Yeah, there's a backstory for sure.
And it's not a good backstory. Or Steve Buscemi. There's not a good backstory with that guy.
Yeah, sometimes that guy gets real pushy. He'll insinuate things. Like sometimes he'll be like, "Man, can you give me $1?" And I'll be like, "I know I don't have it." He's like, "Come on, man, I saw you give so and so Daryl $1." I was like, "Well, first, Daryl did this for that $1. Secondly, I don't have $1 because I gave
Give
that
it to Daryl, yeah.
So that only supports my case of not having $1, you know. And I'd be like, "Well, you know, it just sucks because Daryl, everyone gives Daryl money and he's just not a good guy. He'll like hate on Daryl." And be like, "Meanwhile, I'm a good guy. I'm out here trying to." He'll try for like the sympathy card, and then he'll be like, "Well, maybe you're right. Maybe I should just go around maybe I should just start stealing and hurting people for money." I'll be like, "Well,
First of all, you can't hurt anybody. Look at you.
Yeah. And I look at him like, was that a low key threat or something, or were you threatening to like lash out on the rest of the world? Because I don't care. Just don't hurt my people.
Yeah.
If you not asking me for money requires you to hurt other people for money, cool. I just don't ask me for money, man. I don't care what you do. You make your own bed, man. You're a grown ass man. You know, you go to jail, you get your teeth knocked out because of your actions. That's also on you. But do whatever you want. But nothing falls on me. It's not my bed. It's
Yeah,
yours.
I agree. Hey, so let's go to another topic. What's your take on APD being a vet, an OG vet of the downtown scene? And there's all this defund bullshit going on with the police and whatnot, and there's a lot of controversy. As someone who's downtown and interacts and sees APD on a regular basis, as someone who trains with probably a lot of cops, what's your take on that whole situation?
Yeah, so police in general, I have never in my life had a problem with police. You know, a subculture when you're growing up and amongst the lower class demographic of people, it's the norm to just dislike the police. I've never been that way in my whole life. Like I've never like felt done wrong by the police. I've never had an unpleasant like shit bag. You know, I'm gonna take that back. Some of the cops on 6th Street treat me bad because they hear things about me. I guess they think that I'm like a bully. I feel like they hear horror stories of things that I've done to people, and they think, oh, this guy's power tripping, like he's a fighter and he's using it on people. But they don't consider maybe that, you know, drunk people and young people do stupid shit. And if somebody swings on me,
You're
sorry
within your
that
rights.
I'm yeah.
You're within your rights to do whatever you need to do to make yourself feel safe.
Yeah, and regardless of rights, like just moral compass wise, if you swing on me, I can't sit there and let you swing on me until you connect. I have to. It's my burden
Yeah.
to make sure
And
you
also,
don't swing on me
if you
anymore.
let them do that, then what stops them from doing that to someone else who can't defend themselves?
That
You got to
too.
teach people that value. Sometimes you have to just teach that valuable lesson. It's your job to be that.
Yeah.
To be that life coach.
Yeah.
To be you're their involuntary life coach.
Exactly, and it's like, is it my fault that I happen to be trained? Like, they still have the burden of, like, they have the luxury of just not swinging on me. If they just don't start, nothing won't be nothing. That's like my motto. Like, all you have to do in order for me not to hurt you is not hurt me or not try to hurt me.
Yeah, just don't be aggressive. Just be a nice person. That's it. It's not that difficult. Like, just be a respectful
I don't even
human
care
being.
if you're nice. Like, I have a rule that I've always used downtown bouncing. I use it in general life as well, even off the clock. If you don't touch me, I will not touch you. I don't care what like,
or like
if
my
I kick
girlfriend or something
somebody
like that.
out-
Yeah. Just
absolutely.
Yeah. Or steal something from me.
or
I had a guy
break-
steal
or
my
break property.
I had a guy steal my pedicab from me 3 years ago. He had, like, it was him and his boy. I beat the fucking shit out of him. Like he got off the bike and I just knocked him out. And then, like, his friend tried to
understandably
come at me and I fucking started piecing him up too. And they had
For
to, like,
sure.
yeah.
Yeah.
So I mean,
like, if
shit like that.
If you swing on a bouncer and they haven't trained to fight, they're probably gonna swing back at you or hurt you or stop you from hurting them.
Yeah.
So I'm gonna do the same. Just because I know what I'm doing doesn't mean that I shouldn't be able to do that to defend myself. And I feel like police look at me a lot of times and think, oh, this guy, he's a fighter, so he's just out here hurting people and abusing his power. No, I'm not. But if you hit me, like, you have to pay for that. I'm sorry. It would be that way. It was that way before I was ever fighting professionally or training to fight. It's always been that way. It's always going to be that way. Don't touch me and I'll be okay. As a bouncer, it happens a lot. You're at the door and you kick somebody out or you don't let somebody in. So they're harassing you. They're talking shit about you. They're poking you. Now, my motto, when I'm at work, I'm not myself. I'm not Deuce King. I'm the door guy for whatever club I'm at.
Yeah.
Like, if I was off, there'd be another door entity, and he would be the door guy. Your problem would be with him. So I don't take anything personal, verbally, or like just annoyance wise. If I kick somebody out or deny somebody entry, and they sit there for 45 minutes to 2 hours, to the rest of my shift talking shit to me, annoying me, whatever. I'm on the clock. Like, I'm getting paid to be there. I don't care. Like, do that. Talk to your blue in the face. Disrespect me. Be racist towards me. Do whatever you got to do. Just don't touch me, because when I clock out, I don't take any of that shit home. And I know deep down you're not talking to me. You're talking to the door guy. Like, the same rule would apply if I was off the clock or if I'm on the clock. It doesn't matter.
Yeah.
Like, you're just mad at me and you're trying to find ways to poke me and to get under my skin. But none of it really
It doesn't
is
affect
real.
you. Yeah.
It's not real.
Yeah. And
And I know that. And I know if they really did know me, they probably wouldn't talk to me like that. So I just take it with a grain of salt. The one thing I don't take with a grain of salt is when people physically assault
it hasn't,
you.
yeah.
Yeah, because you clock out, then you still got a black eye. You still got like stitches or whatever happened to you. That you do take that home with you. That is personal. If I've been in big brawls, I've been in situations where somebody will bust a bottle over my head.
I saw
from,
your
from behind. Then I turn and they try to stab me with that bottle. I grab their hand. I get the bottle out of their hand. They tried to murder me. They literally would have murdered me had they been able to. They were unsuccessful, and then I put them to sleep, and then I take them out. And then I've had this moral dilemma in my head, like, this motherfucker, yes, I'm at work, but this motherfucker tried to murder me. And I put them to sleep. I didn't hurt them. I carried them off the property. So now they're off the property. I'm bleeding. I'm going to have to go get stitches after this out of my own pocket.
Yeah.
You know, and they get to wake up and go home. And tomorrow wake up and be like, oh, man, I got so drunk last night. It was so crazy. And go to work like nothing happened. Meanwhile, I'm fucked up. You know, like,
Yeah.
that's not cool. And I'm financially hurting because I had to pay for this out of my own pocket.
Do you not have health insurance and whatnot?
I mean, I have no. I'm gonna say no because
No,
I do,
okay.
but it counts for so little, so rarely that no.
I got you.
So I can't always allow that. Earlier on in my career, sometimes I would take it personal what they would do physically to me, and I would do something physically to them. You know, I don't anymore. But early on in my career, I've been known to like take a pinky and just break it. Like, give them a reason
damn.
to wake up and be like, you know what? I shouldn't have done what I did last night. That was stupid.
Yeah.
I could easily probably kill these people.
No, dude, the guy who stole my pedicab, he's probably never gonna steal another pedicab again.
Yeah, that's my thing. It's
Like he's never gonna steal another cab again.
I'm not gonna say it's right, but dude, you try to murder me, and I gotta just like let you wake up. No, hell no. Like I can't do that. You know, it's not cool. You tried to kill me. Like you have to wake up with something. I'm not gonna kill you. I'm not gonna do equal. Like I feel like I should be able to. I'm not. But you gotta take something away with you. A lesson. You can't do that. Otherwise, I feel like I'm inviting the universe. If I don't right the wrongs that are done to me, I'm inviting them. Like
you're inviting the universe to keep doing that to you.
Yeah, exactly. If you're getting bullied and you never stand up for yourself, you're welcome.
You keep getting bullied.
Exactly.
And that's how you create school shooters and mass shooters and all this type of shit.
Yeah.
You cannot get bullied. And people also got to figure out when you're being bullied and when you're not being bullied, because some people are so insecure they think anybody who says the slightest thing to them is bullying them, and that's not true either. There's just got to be a balance, you know. Like you just have to, you know, you just have to like have certain rules and just make sure that like, if a certain line gets crossed, you don't let people cross it, but just do your best to not even let it get to that point. That's really my take on that.
And to follow up what you were asking about APD in general, APD, I feel like APD, their hands are kind of tied, and it's not always what they want to do. Like they're employees, they have a job just like I have a job. Sometimes my job gets really annoying. And I will say that they're just employees based on the long span of time that I've worked side by side with them in the industry. When I first got down to Austin, there were a lot more fist fights. There was a lot less lawsuits, and the city was a lot less hands-on than they are today. And the police usually worked in our favor. It was like almost like an unspoken code. Like if something went down and somebody swung on a bouncer and got beat up because they were trying to fight somebody at a club, and they fought back and got beat up, the cops usually worked in our favor, and they were friends with us. That we were like symbiotic.
Yeah.
And it was that way. Now, when there was a bad apple and they repetitively did bad things as bouncers, then yes, the law came down on them. But in general, the law down there would respect us and let us work within what needed to happen, what was necessary. And then I guess the city got really tight on the police down there and came down on them. And then they started being a lot more like, I don't want anybody to do any, like, I don't care if they hit you. You don't hit them back. You call the police. And it's like, that's just unrealistic.
And then by the time the police get there, the guy is gone.
Exactly.
Dude, like, look, I have no problems with APD, and I know a lot of people have a lot of criticisms and whatnot, but from my own personal experience, I just feel like a lot of them are just nice guys who are just not good at their job.
Yeah.
Like, I feel like our cops are kind of like the super troopers.
Yeah,
like that's really what they are. Like, they are the super troopers. I mean, so I was downtown. Remember when that guy got shot? Remember when there was, I got to be more specific, right?
Yeah.
But like 4 years ago, there was a shooting that occurred on 6th Street where some dude just started like busting caps in the middle of 6th and Brazos, and he like shot like 3 people, or just he emptied his magazine or did something.
Yeah, that actually happened. The guy got shot, or it's a girl that got shot.
Yeah.
Right in front of friends, so it was across the street.
And the cops weren't able to catch him. Like, they did not catch him until like a week or so later.
Yep.
And you want to know what's crazy is that that night, me, Juan, Levi, and Jay were all downtown because Levi had a fight that night.
Yeah.
So we were all at like Chupacabra because Levi was working there, and we were getting fucking turned up. And all of a sudden, we heard gunshots, but we thought they were just fireworks. So we just kept partying like nothing happened.
Yep.
And you know, we got a ride to the to IHOP, and we were eating. And this one, like, just ghetto-ass black dude was, like, talking about how he just got out of jail for murder, and he was, like, just trying to act all hard to, like, the waitresses or, like, the hostess or, like, some people who were there with us, right?
Yeah.
And then it got to a point where, like, me and Juan were just making fun of him. We were like, dude, you didn't kill anybody. Get the fuck out of here, dude. Yeah. And, like, Juan was telling him that his tattoos weren't even real, and we were just spending the entire time just making fun of him. And so we go eat, and we go home like nothing happened, and then we find out that a shooting occurred on 6th Street. And then we look at the picture of who did the shooting, and the person that we were talking to in IHOP literally matched the description of the killer.
Yeah.
And I'm like, dude, we were literally talking to a murderer for
You
like
never
15
know.
minutes,
You
making
never
fun
know.
of him, and he did nothing to us.
Yeah.
And I'm just like, man, how did APD not do their
Yeah.
job to catch him? Like, That's laughable.
Yeah.
It's right in your backyard. There's so many cops on 6 umbrellas, and you couldn't catch
He
a
didn't
guy who
even-
started shooting people right in
He
broad
didn't even
daylight.
flee. He went a couple blocks over and had breakfast.
He had breakfast.
You know, yeah.
He had breakfast at IHOP that night.
Yep. That's insane. You know, like, but I don't know. I feel like enough things like that don't happen normally in this city. This city doesn't have a high murder rate. It's not known for that. So when it does happen, I feel like the cops are kind of caught off guard.
Yeah.
You know, they're not set up for that routinely. They're not ready for it.
No, I get that.
Yeah.
I feel like out of all the cities to be a cop, and this is probably one of the best, even though despite all these protests and all this all this
Yeah.
shit that's happening, you know, everyone's like, oh my God, these cops have it so tough here. And I'm like, look, bro, I don't like how they defunded APD, and I like a lot of the cops that work downtown, and I think we
Yeah.
need to make certain reforms for their safety and our safety and whatnot. But dude, let's put this shit in perspective, man. Like, being a cop in Austin is probably one of like the best places to be a police officer,
Yeah.
and in the United States, man, you make like $65,000 a year to be a super trooper.
Yeah, I completely agree with that. It's pretty cake job.
Yeah, it's a cake job.
Yeah. I feel like the city does not want the police defunded. Like,
No, they don't.
you might think you do, but like in a city full of liberal people, the liberals don't know a whole lot, you know, on average about, you know, guns or violence. You know, they're used to being sheltered in general. I mean, I know there's exceptions, but generally, liberals, I feel like, don't realize what it really means to be out there in the jungle. You know, like you want to have somebody to be able to call, or somebody on the block with you to protect you.
Yes.
In a city like Austin, you
Yes.
don't want to be in the jungle with no protection.
No, 100%. And you also want to make sure these people are accountable so that they actually are protecting you.
Yep.
And I think that's the solution we need. I also think that the city defunded their police in such a way that they knew it was going to get overturned, because I don't think that like Mayor Adler and these people really want to have a defunded police department. And by defunding the police in this extreme of a manner in which they did it, they know Greg Abbott's going to stop that shit from happening. So I think they're almost working together to just have Abbott like low-key come to the rescue and just stop it. And then they'll just complain in public and act like they're trying to do a bunch of good stuff when they really aren't.
Maybe so. Yeah, I don't really follow politics
That-
or what's happening.
I would not be surprised if that were the case, because I don't think that these guys really want to defund APD, but I think these guys are scared of these protests and they don't have a backbone in terms of how they stand up to these people. And so they just did something super radical to just get them to be quiet. And then I also know that Abbott's going to just overturn that anyway. And there's probably going to be even more of a stricter police state as a result of it. And I really think that that's what the end byproduct is. And I think that the city has to know that. You have to know that.
Yeah, I know that there's people out there. There's a lot of people out there. I mean, I'm not a bad person, but if I wanted to be, if I decided to be, if I was a bad person, a lot of these people out there, whatever they had on them, if I like it, it's mine. They can't stop me from taking it. I'm not that person, but if I was, these people need police to call. The police are their best friends.
It's true. The people that are like fully activated, like the people that are the most loud and vocal about defunding APD are literally the softest people who need APD the most.
Yeah,
in
for
many
sure.
cases. In many cases.
Yep, I can agree with
Or
that.
they're just straight up criminals and they just want to get away with shit. So it's a two-sided coin. But
Yep.
either way, you cannot defund the way you're defunding. It is a disaster on every single angle.
Yep, it's just one of those things that like you don't miss something until it's gone. They've lived this lie, this falseness for so long and been so protected that they don't realize that they need that protection.
No, it's true.
They just see what's wrong with the scenario. They don't see the positive that they reap benefits from every single day of their life until it's gone.
Yeah.
And then I bet you
They'll know. They'll know.
Oh, yeah.
Dude, I think that they need to honestly be EMT certified. That's what I think. Because how many times do you see like people get their ass kicked or people have alcohol poisoning or some fucking crazy shit happen downtown? You've seen like probably hundreds, if not thousands, of these incidents over the course of your life. And how many times are cops the first person on the scene of a horrific accident?
Yeah, for sure, especially on 6th Street because they're stationed down there.
Yeah. And imagine how many people's, like, I'm sure you saw people die numerous times while you were downtown without even realizing it.
I have.
Yeah. Imagine how many of those people's lives would be saved if our cops had EMT certifications.
Yeah, for sure. For sure.
And it would change the narrative. It would 100% change the narrative of how police officers are looked at if they were required to be EMT certified.
Mm-hmm. Agreed.
if you guys want to be thought of as heroes, go save someone's life and be a hero.
Yeah.
I mean, it's not rocket science.
Yeah. My thing is I don't mind the police. I never have, but I go, I follow like my moral compass. I do what I feel is right, or what I don't do what I feel is wrong, and that's just it. Like, I don't really care about how the law sees it. That's kind of been my Achilles heel down there for a long time. I've had to deal with a whole lot of legal scenarios and been ridiculed for certain things, but at the end of the day, like, if it's warranted, it's coming for me. I don't care. Like, if somebody wrongs me and I don't see them for years, and the next time I see them, I happen to be in a police station to pay a ticket, it's on site. It's going down. I don't care. Like, it's cool. I understand. I can go to jail. Cool. I've been in jail a lot of times in my life. You know what happens? I get out. No big deal. Like, it's worth it sometimes. Like, you're not going to do me wrong, and then the only reason I'm not going to get revenge or stand up for myself is fear of jail. That's not going to happen. Like, I'm not a bad guy. I'm not going to do things for no reason. But if it's warranted, I don't mind whatever may or may not come with it. That's always been me.
Yeah. Hey, so before we wrap up, tell us a little about your shirt.
My shirt. I don't brunch. It's just like, it's pretty literal. I don't brunch. Brunch has become like a phenomenon. I think that like in the last 10 years or so, it's become a thing, especially in Austin. I don't know if it's happening everywhere in the world. I assume it is, but I feel like brunch is like a big social thing. When I was growing up in the 80s, because I'm older than the normal demographic downtown, so a lot of the kids don't even get it, because their association with brunch has always been like this bro brunch, or like this trendy thing that's happening now. They don't understand. Like, when I was young, brunch was something like housewives did together, and they would drag their husbands to. They didn't want to be there. It's not like a manly thing. It's for women.
I'm not gonna lie though. I really enjoy going to brunch with my girl though. It is a lot of fun. It is fun going to brunch. Like, I actually enjoy going to brunch with my girlfriend. It is a fun activity.
I like brunch foods.
The brunch food is good, dude.
I just don't like the phenomena that is brunch. I don't like it. When I was young, I thought of it as like something that men were like dragged to against their will, and that's always resonated with me. So like, I don't brunch. Like, it's just a statement that I say.
You have to wear that to brunch.
Also, yeah. If I ever went to brunch, I would. Maybe one day there'll be a scenario, but like, in this town, the whole bro brunch thing, a while back, I feel like it's a predatorial beta move where guys will go, like, in groups of guys to brunch just because they figured out, like, girls like brunch. It's a feminine thing.
Or it's just called being smart and just getting what's yours without having to work so hard.
Yeah.
Or it's called just being an intelligent human being and taking an opportunity when it's there.
I just feel like some people don't have to do that. Some people naturally don't have to, so it never comes up. If you do have to, cool, whatever.
Or if you just feel like, why not? It's right there.
There's
like,
that.
Oh man, I could go. Let me think. I could go hang out with a bunch of dudes, or go eat really good food and have $2 mimosas with a bunch of pretty girls around me. What am I gonna choose to do? Like, what am I? Come on.
I guess. Yeah, I definitely see. I see where you're going with it, but for me personally, I've just always felt like above like stooping to like fishing with dynamite. I just won't do that. There's no wrong in it. I do see your point. Especially if you're just worried about notches in your belt or kills, like scoring. Go to where the situation benefits you the most.
But it's also the same thing, like having a job like this. Like, both of us are in like committed relationships, so that's a a thing of the past.
Yeah.
Right. Because we're super loyal guys who care about our significant others. Like, jokes aside and whatnot.
Yeah.
But, dude, this is like, our jobs are the best jobs in the world to date girls that we have no business dating.
For sure. But again, like I never came to the I didn't know that about bouncing when I started bouncing. Again, I came to the gyms up here to fight, and all the other bouncers, they said, this is the way we make it work. If we have 9 to 5s, it fucks our training up. So we work at night, 6 hours, and we go home. Not 8-hour shifts because we're tired.
Yeah.
And we're just standing at a door. Maybe we have to beat somebody up, but usually we're just standing there.
I tell you this though, man. Like, and you've had what, like 40 pro fights, right,
A
or
bunch
something?
of
But
fights,
you've had
yeah,
close,
something like
like
that.
either over 40 or close to 40.
Yeah.
I've had one fight. Okay, I've had one fight, and I know that from doing my one fight, my attitude while being downtown is a lot different training for a fight than when I'm not training for a fight, and I get a lot more annoyed with the people that I have to work with
Yeah.
when I'm in a fight camp than when I'm not in a fight camp. Because when I'm not in a
Absolutely.
fight camp, I love this shit. This is so much fun. The job makes me really happy. I love all my interactions. When I was like training for a fight, I fucking hated these people.
Yeah. Well, for me, a lot of that. The only thing I hated whenever I was in a fight camp in the later years of my career was sometimes I was starving because I'm cutting weight, and that's
Yeah.
annoying. And water,
Water deficits,
Yeah,
yeah.
When I'm not drinking water, and everybody's has this condensating, cold beer or cold mug of liquid in their hand, that was
Yeah.
fucking
Or I'm just really
annoying.
angry that everyone's enjoying a cold beer and they're eating
Yeah.
whatever they want, and I
Yeah.
can't.
Yeah.
You know, because I have to go.
Like,
I
I
have to
haven't-
go fucking hurt somebody and worry
Yeah.
about getting hurt, and then I'm
Like-
thinking about like, oh fuck, I got sparring tomorrow.
Yeah.
Like I.
Yep.
Yeah. It's just all this shit. That's just.
I didn't drink even throughout the later years of my career, so I wasn't really worried about drinking for my leisure, but just seeing those ice cold glasses, and I couldn't drink water even or anything, just couldn't take in liquids. That really upset me. And then everything's more annoying when you're hungry and when you're pissed off, and you're thirsty.
Yeah.
Like, everything's more annoying and more intense.
And you have these
Also-
grueling training schedules that you have to do,
Yeah.
and you're like, "Oh, bro, I got to run 3 miles, or dude, I got to
Yep.
go do this interval run from hell, or I got to
Yeah.
do this horrible circuit, and then I got to roll with these black belts, or I got to
Yep.
spar with these pro kickboxers, or like,
Exactly.
you know,
yeah.
these, yeah.
Also, the no sex thing. I didn't have sex 30 days before
Really?
I fought. Yeah.
Oh, fuck that, dude.
Yeah, no sex, no masturbation, no release.
I did that for a week. Like
Yeah.
because I feel like when you do it too much, you actually don't produce from a testosterone standpoint.
Yeah.
You do it like in week intervals, because if you like go too long, your body just already feels like it has enough testosterone as it is, so it just stops producing it.
Yeah, well, I've tried to go 2 months before early in my career, and my
That's a
body
myth.
didn't allow
Yeah,
me to do that
Nah.
because
it happens.
you wake up and you have to do sheet laundry or
Yeah,
whatever,
it happens.
that
It
kind
happens.
of thing.
It happens.
But I'd always do a month. That was just my thing, my ritual.
It's a superstition.
And
Yeah.
could be. I don't know. But I do know this. Like, I was aggravated. I had, like, an intensity in me ready to go. Like, I was on edge, basically.
Dude, yeah,
Because I
yeah.
wasn't releasing. And I figured that alone was worth something. If nothing else, scientifically,
It definitely puts you on edge.
yeah. And,
it puts
and
you
I
on
like
edge.
that edge. I'm a very lax person. I don't have much of a natural temper. So any edge is a benefit to me.
Yeah,
Everyone's
I'm
different.
the same way, man. I'm pretty like calm and stuff like that.
Yeah.
Like I'm super like calm and chill, and I have the same disposition and whatnot. So I get
Yeah.
it.
So, like, the libido thing would aggravate me as well downtown there. The libido thing would get to me in my fight camps. The not drinking liquid would really get to me in fight camps, and the eating clean and, like, eating less.
Dude.
Like the
Oh
cutting
yeah,
weight,
you're always
the
like a
cutting
little
of
bit.
weight.
You're always a little bit hungry too.
It's like,
You're
I'm
always
fucking-
a little bit
I'm
hungry all the
I'm
time. Yeah,
thirsty.
it sucks.
Like, especially the couple days before my fight, I wouldn't touch water. I'd be releasing so much water that, I mean, you could light a match on
Dude.
my eyeball or my tongue. Like, there was no liquid. I had no
no liquid. There's nothing.
eye fluid, ocular fluid, whatever you'd call it. I didn't have that.
Yeah.
I wouldn't have anything in my mouth at all. It's aggravating. And I'm watching all these drunk idiots running around with these cold drinks. That really got to me.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And then everyone's complaining, and I'm like, dude, you have nothing to complain about, bro. Get
Yeah,
out of here. Get the
for sure,
fuck out of here.
for sure.
All right.
Yeah. And then, sex. Like, all the girls down there are very alluring. They're all dressed up.
Oh,
And when you can't, release
Dude,
it,
of
that
course.
could be annoying
And
as
the
well.
other frustrating thing too is that because you're like in a fight camp and you're not drinking and you're not doing like any of these fun activities, it's harder to actually meet people. So you're just like, dude, look at all these pretty girls or whatever that I can't do anything with because they're all gonna want to go out drinking and whatnot, and I can't do that.
Yeah. Yeah, you see, I never did that, so that was never really a concern with me. I'm not very a social person. I don't really like people. And I think I've gotten worse in that working downtown.
Well, I'm
for so
really
long.
glad that you opened up in spite of that, Deuce. It really makes me feel good.
of
But anyway,
course.
we're about to wrap up, but before we do, tell us about these shirts a little more and where we can get them and how we can support your amazing clothing line if it's still even operational.
Yeah, I would say message me because we don't really have the copyrights or anything for any of this stuff. I have a whole lot. I have a clothing line. Message me. I'll send you. My name is Deuce King, spelled Duece King. I have a Facebook and an Instagram account. Check me out, message me. I'll send you the whole list of everything, but it kind of has to be done personally, and I could chip out or whatever. But we're not legal.
I gotcha. And your Instagram, it's at Deuce King, right?
Deuce K.
Deuce K. Okay, we want to clarify that so people can order these awesome shirts. I have an I Don't Brunch shirt somewhere. I gotta bust it out eventually.
It's just a lot of things that piss me off about like subculture. The direction it's gone since I've been a kid. The shirts are kind of based on that. I have a I Don't Brunch shirt. I have a Fuck Your Man Bun shirt. I have a Single Don't Mingle shirt, which doesn't really apply anymore because I'm not single. But it was one of the original ones. It sold a lot. The fuck South by Southwest.
Yeah, well, that actually came true.
Oh yeah,
that
for
actually
sure,
happened.
Sure. Yeah.
Anyway, it's probably been over an hour. We literally hit the gamut and ran the gauntlet of everything that we wanted to talk about. Would you agree?
Yeah. For the
All
most
right.
part. Yeah.
So Deuce, thank you so much for doing this.
Of course, brother. Of course.
Always.
Thanks for having me.
Yes, sir. All right.